What up, everybody? How you doing? I can actually somewhat speak again. It's been nuts. I'm still a little bit sick, but it's been almost close to 2 months that I've been freaking sick. So it's been absolutely craziness. It's just another excuse, but man, I couldn't talk or anything. I guess there's quite a few people that have had it, and again, finally, I'm getting over it. But we're back. Matt's been, um, traveling, doing some things, and we wanted to kind of go over some of the things that we've been doing in the meantime. I know he's been super busy with AT drill. For you guys that have done that in the past, you know how busy that gets. And then he's done some matches, and I doing some building rifles and just trying to keep my head above water with bait for the kids and everything else. So it's been kind of crazy, but I don't know. Let's introduce some of our sponsor stuff and see how it goes. So, of course, MDT has been there with us, and I've got to beat up Matt a little bit because I saw a stock that somebody teased on, and by somebody I mean Martin. If he's listening, Martin, you can't do shit like that. Uh, this new stock, and I want to know about it. So, what is this new stock that has been seen on the?
So the one you're talking about, Martin posted a picture of, and it is a new carbon fiber, like completely carbon fiber stock, and it's kind of fallen in line with the HNT line. And it's as cool as it looks like in person. It's in development for a while, and MDT, I can speak to a little bit of it. They've expanded their carbon fiber operations, and it is awesome. Super lightweight, super rigid, everything you'd grow to expect. So I actually used an HNT for my antelope gun, my antelope tag here coming up, and hopefully if I can get my hands on one of those, I'll use it. So pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been pushing a lot of those HNTs lately. For one of the big things that people don't think about when it comes to chassis is a lot of chassis get cold. So if you're hunting late season, I hunted with my little boy in November, the end of November last year, and I had a great chassis, love the chassis, but I hate the chassis when it gets cold. And that was one of those times that I wish I had the HNT because it is all carbon. I mean, there's some great ultralight chassis out there, but again, it's not like a stock. With a stock you can hold on to it, and you don't have to have two pairs of gloves and a hand warmer to hold on to the freaking thing. So I think that's one of the big things that set it apart. And they've got the folding adapters, I think, down packed pretty damn good. The folders have been on point. I mean, there haven't been loose. That was one of the other big issues that I had with some of the other chassis is their folders, especially after a little bit, they get super loose. So I always liked that HNT. And that's just going to be a standard stock with the HNT 4-end all carbon, right?
Well, it's got its own forend, so it's all one piece, and then it'll have the hunting bottom metal in it, and it'll be really really light, and super rigid. So that's one thing I do love about the HNT is it's the recoil impulse on that chassis is way different than you'd expect. It's really unique because I've got one on my 300 PRC, and then I've got this one on the 6.5 PRC, and I actually really enjoy shooting them, even though the 6.5 PRC that I've got with a can weighs about 9 pounds, minus bipod, but it shoots really well. It's awesome.
Yeah. That was another thing is the bottom metal that they came out with at locks. So the bottom metal doesn't drop, and that was kind of one of those things that I saw when I think we were at SHOT, and they kind of showed it to me. I like that. It was good stuff. But anyway, keep your eyes out. I know it's going to be coming out soon. I put a picture of it up, a while back, and if go check it out. Of course, Utah Air Guns, they've been with us forever. We still got to get Matt on an air gun. I know we're gonna get him going. We got to get him up here maybe this summer and go do some night air gun shooting and stuff like that. Man, that's fun. It is. It's probably one of my new favorite guns. I love my Voodoo forever, but I think the FX from Utah Air Guns is taking the cake, especially when people want to shoot it and I don't have to worry about them shooting a Lapua or friggin' SK or something through it that I don't want to get more of. Comes from for hardly anything, so that's always a solid point. So go check that out. I know they've got a bunch of stuff in stock and they can build it out for you, which is badass. For them to be able to custom build you something and send it right to your house that's tuned and everything to the bullet. I mean, it's fun. You just pull it out of the box and go shoot it and take out pigeons or whatever else you want to shoot, steel or so whatever. I mean, we've shot them out to 300 yards, no problem. So it's kind of cool. I shoot a 25 cal, really cool stuff. But anyway, how the hell you been, dude?
Good, just super busy, man. Trying to figure out how to fit more matches back in my schedule. So I drew
Mm,
2 Nevada tags, an antelope and a deer tag, both first choice. I don't know how I looked into that, but trying to work 2 tags this late summer and fall is going to be tough. So I just booked travel to the South Dakota PRS match right now, actually before we hopped on this, so I can go shoot that 2-day PRS match up there, and yeah, and then looking at starting over already again for next year. I know the hunter finale is in August. Hopefully I can make that. Don't know yet. But yeah, man. And then actually, I did have something I want to bring up because we had conversations in the past about military and long range shooting and everything like that. But I actually got to do something pretty cool with my soldiers. And if you don't
mm,
know, I'm a company commander for an engineer company here in Las Vegas. We went in the middle of nowhere, Nevada, to a little Army Depot thing. Lived in the hills, um, yeah, just did dirty kid stuff for 10 days. But we got to do a machine gun range. It was super fun. So we got 240s and 249s, and I made them mount optics. And my company hasn't touched optics on machine guns ever.
mm,
So I taught all these new shooters how to do field zeros with those optics. And we had targets still at targets set up all the way to 800 meters. So every 100 meters we had targets, and we field zeroed on this big APC shell at about 470 meters. And for that MGO, it's an LCAN is who makes it, the MGO. And yeah, we slung lead all the way up to 800 meters with it, and it was pretty cool. I got videos and everything. It was just neat. So utilizing one of those techniques for zeroing field zeroing rifles, and it crossed over to belt-fed machine guns, and it was highly accurate. So I thought that was pretty neat, man. I was kind of standing there and had like a proud dad moment. So it was pretty cool.
mm. That is cool to kind of let everybody else get to do something they haven't. And, of course, somebody teaches them that has done it. So they're not trying to fight against it forever. That was one of those hard things is learning how to do it in the beginning. So you guys are engineers, right?
Yep, horizontal. This company's horizontal vertical, so it's basically a big construction. So I got earth moving, I got concrete, I got electricians. I got like 50 different MOSs that are under me. So
Okay. For you guys listen, MOS is military occupational specialty. We got to use those freaking terms. A lot of people don't understand what the hell they mean that listen, but
some do.
some do, some don't. If you do, how you doing? We know who you are. Um,
Yeah,
but so you went up to Canada, our friends to the north, and shot a match.
I
How was
did.
that? Was that an NRL match?
It
Hunter
was
match?
NRL Hunter. Yep, NRL Hunter match, the Canadian Rocky Mountain Hunter. So I ended up flying up to Bellingham, Washington. Ryan McLean of MDT came over the border, got me, stayed at his house, and then we drove the 8-ish hours. I didn't. I honestly, this is so dumb. This is an American thing to say. I didn't realize how huge British Columbia was, mass wise.
Dude, it's huge.
Yeah. So, and we still didn't see all of it, but we drove from Chilliwack, which is pretty west and low, and then we went through the Rockies, the Canadian Rockies, and it was like one Bob Ross painting after another. It was like the most scenic drive I've ever seen, in farmlands and these gorges and everything. It was it was insanely pretty, and we wound up at Three Bars Guest Ranch, which the Beckley's Ranch. So Tyler and his son Chase, who shoot tons of matches, PRS and NRL Hunter,
Hmm.
great family. They wanted to host a hunter match, and they did an outstanding job. And then we got these cabins. We stayed on the property, and like there was a nice bar after we were done shooting, and just insanely good. They had whole herds of elk wandering on their fields and stuff, and it was just like, no big deal. And then pretty sure we saw a big bear up on the side of a hill, and then bald eagle floating around and stuff. And it was crazy cool. So I RO'd. So I shot all 19 stages on Friday, and then worked and RO'd the other 2 days, and then came back on Monday. And it was just so cool, man.
Hmm.
It was probably the most insanely cool shooting experiences I've had.
That's
And just
crazy though. As an NRL hunter person being on our own shooting 19 stages in one day. That's freaking nuts. That's hauling
But
ass.
it's a marathon, and it was good. I got to see a lot of people. Well, met a ton of new Canadians. I mean, they're all nice. I
Hmm.
don't think Canadians have a bad day. Um, but they're all so nice, and I got to see some people I just haven't seen in a while, and it was a crazy cool experience. And then on the way back, I stayed an extra day and then toured all the new MDT stuff. Like it's been a while since I've been up to office, but wow, that company's grown and they've put money in good places. Like that's the one thing I will say. Like the money is going to the places that matters the most, and it's insanely cool.
Hmm.
Um,
And they just put a new fulfillment center in like Idaho, didn't they?
Twin Falls.
Hmm. Yeah, because I
Yeah,
know I
Twin
ordered
Falls.
I ordered an HNT and a mag the other day, and I got it the next morning. I'm like, holy shit, that's delivery.
Yeah, it's Idaho Falls. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep.
from
So
Idaho Falls, I got a little bit of my sickness, so I'm still a little crazy, but I don't know. It's been busy for me. I mean, I haven't been shooting because I've just been so busy with summer and everything. But the kids have been playing baseball every freaking night. I mean, with my other businesses going, it's just been nuts. But I definitely got to get more of these coming. We've got a lot of great people wanting to come on, and we've got to either I've got to do more singly or just get our schedules together. It's hard when you got two or three or four people to try and schedule together and try and get everything going. But it is what it is. How your barrel still shooting?
Oh yeah, rifles are hammering. I just wish I had more time to go use them. So I'm taking the 6.5 Creed with me to South Dakota next month. That's what I'm gonna shoot. It just loves the 140 ELDs, man. It can do no wrong. So
Mhm.
that's what I'm gonna roll with. And South Dakota, from what I remember, has some decent wins, and that's gonna be a good one. But it's
They're
good.
not quite
And
switchy. Are they just more constant or what?
yeah, and the direction of the fire pretty well. Like it's like that range that we shot last time. Big beautiful property is kind of on an L. So I mean, most of the day you're shooting this way, and then the other part of the day you're shooting this way. So it's pretty easy. You're
Mm,
not doing a bunch of just switching positions and 180s and shooting off like knobs and stuff. So it's pretty cool. I do want to cover something that NRL Hunter match though that bit me pretty good. Cost me a second place. I had third overall in that one. Um, so I took a new pair of Leica 10 by 42 Pros, and I didn't. They were brand new. I got them to like the day before, and I had the 32s, but I took the 42s with me. Um, I didn't map out exactly where that laser was in that reticle, and it got me. It burned me pretty good. There were some
ah,
flat. There were some flat ground targets that with no backdrop, and if you didn't hit that post or that target perfectly, like you weren't getting a range. You'd either get like 200 and the target was like at 6 or you got like 9 something, so there's nothing in between. So it burned me pretty good. So
mm.
as the
Ho-
reminder again for laser range finding binos or rangefinders, learn where your reticle is and
yeah.
register laser.
Jose Gardner, one of our reviewers, did a video about that on the SIGs because you got a circle. So how do you know in the circle where it hits? So he did a video on that. So if you guys want to go learn more about that, go check out it on our YouTube page. But he used a telephone pole. They used
Yeah,
the top of the
that's a good
telephone.
one. Or the
So
wires or something. Yeah.
yeah, so you find out where your limits of the reticle are. But that's a good piece of advice to people, and a lot of people don't know that. And it took me a minute to figure that out when I first got my SIG because I'd try to range something and like I'm like, what the hell? How does it go from 300 to 800 just like that?
Yeah.
And it's yeah, because it's picking up the wrong thing because you're not pointing to the right place. And we had that issue setting up as a match director. Like we went through three or four different rangefinders trying to figure out where the shit was in each one. And no matter what rangefinder I used, they were within, if you're within 5 yards, 10 yards max, you're probably still pretty okay on a target if you can get it. But if you're more than that, you're in trouble, I think.
Yeah, when you hit that kind of 6 to 800 range, tenths matter. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're not, and what I didn't realize, because my last pair, it was like in the bottom third of the circle. This one was dead even, but on the very right edge of the circle. And I could not catch this target, and I misranged a couple, and it cost me big points because it was
Mm.
splashing behind it, and I just didn't. And the mirage was so thick, I just couldn't make sense of it. And so I'm making corrections, losing points, and it got me. A zero on a stage takes you well out of the running. So yeah,
Mm.
uh, I mean, it's just hard lesson learned that I know better. I teach people this stuff. I know better. I just like, I'll deal with it. And it
Mm.
got me because, I
Yeah.
mean, and another advice piece of advice I want to give people, especially a competitive mind frame, is drink way more water than you think you do, because once you
Mm.
hit that point, there's no return. You can't rehydrate fast enough to get your brain function back to that level. So I try to drink a standard plastic bottle of water a stage. I know it sounds excessive, but like I'm saying, you don't realize how much you sweat and you go through, and if you're eating too, how much food takes to process with water. So you just have to, especially if the temperature is above 80 degrees and it's sunny out, you're standing in the sun, no shade. Yeah, you're hosed. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, as a standard normal person's day, you're supposed to drink a gallon of water, and how many of us really do that? But yeah, if it's hot out and you're out in the sun and everything else, and you're trying to do it, you got to drink a lot of water for sure.
yeah, but yeah, I think that pretty much catches us up, man. Army stuff, a couple matches here and there. My local season here in Vegas wrapped up, and I was lucky enough to take first overall. It came down to the difference of like a point. Um,
Nah, I gotcha.
yeah,
I gotcha. Yeah, dude, that's the crazy thing though, is a lot of these matches nowadays, it all comes down to a point, or 2 points or something. Like that is the cutting point, and I think that's why it's got so crazy, is because you've got to do it now. I don't want to bring up the match, but the Night Force ELR, I saw a lot of crap about it online, and I know as a match director how hard it is to put on a match. So it's like I'm kind of seeing both sides of the story, and especially with practice score, when you don't have ROs that know practice score, and you don't have synced right, and you lose scores. I mean, it happens. It's I luckily we did it to where we did 2 sets on them the last time we did it. So just in case something died or something went awry, so if you're a match director, you're thinking about match directing, you really need to reach out to a lot of these match directors that have done this before and learn from the crap that they've had to deal with, because dude, it's a shit show trying to put some of this stuff on and learning from that. So we've kind of gone through the bad things, and I learned a lot when I did it. I got my ass kicked a few times by putting on a match, and I know you probably have too.
yeah. I'm actually a huge fan of paper backup. So it's like competitor paper backup, and I'm matchbooks are the cards. So NRL Hunter gives you a card, and I am a huge fan of that because it makes arbitration super easy. Someone initials it, and you've got a digital and a paper copy, and you can't refute it. Like the arbitration, 30 minutes. Like, here you go. Here's my card. There's something wrong, or a score was missed, or someone didn't approve, or there was an error in the scoring. Like, hey, easy fix. And
Hmm.
and I am a, especially for 2 day matches, man. One days you can kind of, like, who cares? Like, if you're that guy that's going to argue for every single point, then I don't know, get better. But 2 day matches for sure. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, yeah. Practice source great. And I know there's that other one they're using out east. I can't remember what it's called. But practice score's been around, and it's supported the sport, and it's been, it was there when we all needed something to use. But there's definitely some changes. And then you've got to have all the iPads. I invested a bunch of money into those little mini solar things. I still got them somewhere. The little solar packs that help keep the thing charged. Because, dude, those things die so fast, especially if you don't put them on airplane mode. But that is one problem. If you're not putting in scores and you're not doing everything right, it's not going to go across, and then people are going to get pissed off at you. So you learn your lesson.
Yeah, and so like we're in local matches and stuff. Like, I just buy the little Kindle Nooks. I can usually find them on sale for like $30 a piece, and they only last if you do put them on power saving and then airplane mode. And then we always have tons of those little battery packs around in the match tote. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and it sucks. It's just, and then the other scoring system is Ultimate Ballistics, but I haven't touched it. I've watched matches because it'll do it in real time.
Uh-huh.
But you have to have Wi-Fi shared among everything. So you got to have Starlink or something out there at the range,
Right.
or else none of it works. So, and I don't have a reason to change from practice core, so I don't know.
Right. And we've never had Starlink, so it might be really nice to do it to where it just automatically updates. But then again, you got to take it off airplane mode, which is, then it dies a whole ton faster if you're not doing it. The NRL was nice when we did it because they brought their own iPads and had all that stuff. But if you're going to host your own, you got to know that you've got to invest in that stuff. And the battery packs are huge. Reach out to some match directors and find out which battery packs are good. Because I went through a bunch of them to find the ones that I liked for sure. Because the ones I started with, man, they were worse than the freaking iPads, and they were garbage.
Yeah, I know. It's just, again, like you said, kind of one of those things you have to ask around and figure out, or any of it, because I know there's a ton of newer match directors trying to host like NRL 22 matches and stuff, and there's just a lot. You think you're gonna learn everything the first go? No, I think I've done close to 100 matches now, and I still learn stuff, and I get my ass handed to me sometimes trying to make things go smoothly because things happen.
No,
Part
yeah,
of it.
it's like politics. You can't keep everybody happy, and you'll always do something wrong. And that was my problem when I tried to go outside the box and do a bunch of shit that had never been done before. It came back to bite me. But you live and learn from it. And man, it's a lot of work. People are like, "Oh, I'm gonna go make money, and I'm gonna go host a match,"
There's
and
no money. You lose money.
there's no money. You're doing it because you love the sport and you love seeing the people. That's pretty much why you do it, and that's why the turnover rate's so high on match directors.
Yeah.
It's like because it's so time consuming. And, by the time I was done with my 2 day matches, I thought I was going to die. I'd have to take 2 or 3 days off to freaking get over the heat stroke and everything else we were going through. It was just crazy. I mean, granted, we did it in June, so it's hotter than hell, but I don't know. It was definitely a learning experience, and it taught me a lot about matches and gave me a very good appreciation for match directors. But you can definitely see who puts the time and the money and everything back in, make a little bit of money, I guess, doing it. But everybody sees that, and those matches, I guess, don't always get filled. But it is what it is. But I mean, Satterley ran that night force phenomenal with the amount of shooters he had. A shit. I mean, he had almost 300 shooters. It's gone down a little bit because he left and everything else. But I know those other guys are trying. I don't think there's any match director that wants to go out there and put on a match and just screw people over, because that's the worst thing you could do. And I just don't think anybody that wants to be a match director would ever do that, especially those guys. I don't know them that well. Peter, and who's the other one that does it with Peter?
Tad. Tad.
Tad. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, we were going to have him on the podcast a while ago, and then something happened with audio or something. I can't remember what the hell happened, but yeah, we were going to have them on, and we were going to talk about it. Maybe it's a good time to talk about it, and
Yeah,
live and
they just
learn
wrapped
from
up. I think that was a week or two ago that they did it. But I from what I've read on social media, I think there was not good things with scoring. So
it.
yeah, maybe it'd be okay to talk to him about that stuff. I mean, I've talked to and spent a lot of time with Peter, so he's a good dude. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever, if
Mm-hmm.
there's legit issues, there's legit issues. Hey, one thing I did want to hit on, because I'm in my prep cycle. I don't. Hey, did you get any tags for Utah or Wyoming or anything? I saw you posting about it, but did you?
No, my dumbass. I put in my Utah dates and my Wyoming dates, and I mixed them. So I thought I still had time to put in for my Utah because I was busy, and I didn't. So I screwed up.
Oof.
So I'm taking the kid in August to hunt gators in Florida, and we're gonna go shoot cogs and go fish. And then I don't know. It's almost more fun for me to go help people hunt. So I try to help people every fall. Get something. But we
Oh
are gonna
man.
do. I do need to announce it. We are going to do an event with either two wounded veterans or two wounded LE officers here in northern Utah, where you get to come stay at a private ranch, shoot with us, use our guns, shoot our ammo. You get deer tags. It's doe deer or elk. I'm not sure what we're going to do, but it's still fun to do. I've got a country singer coming to hang out with us and sing us some tunes. We're going to barbecue, do a thing. So that'll be in November of this year. So we're trying to do more stuff like that. And then we're going to do a military veteran deal in Wyoming, or we're at least going to try with some antelope. So we'll see how that goes. We're going to try and start doing stuff like that every year, with doing more of the veteran law enforcement, first responder type stuff. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
No, that's good. That's perfect. That sounds like a damn good time. So my question to you was, Um, so I have this nasty habit every time I get tags because if you don't know, Nevada is pure lottery system,
Mhm.
and so it's a privilege to hunt. And I don't like in the grand scheme of things in the last like 10, 15 years, I haven't got to actually hunt a whole lot. I mean, I've harvested animals, but um, between archery, which I don't do anymore, and then rifles, like you don't actually get to hunt a lot.
Mhm.
So I end up just throwing money at things I probably shouldn't throw money at. And
Mhm.
my justification is, buying new stuff, spotting scopes and binos and rifles and different doodads and trailers and different stuff, trucks even, uh,
Good.
suspension. So
Mhm.
anyway, so it's my justification for spending money. I gotta have it for this hunt. Anyway, so I'm trying not to do that this year because my elk hunt a couple years back was really good and spent good money and was successful. So I'm trying to ride some of that stuff out. So how how do you prepare for a good hunt, like a good tag that like I'm going to spend some time and effort on this, not just your go pop a doe and eat it, like that, not that sort of hunt, but like a good hunt.
Like
How do you
a limited entry draw, because like
Yeah.
it's some of the elk hunts, some of the elk units here in Utah, you might draw if in 20 years if you're lucky. I mean,
Yep.
it just is. So I get what you're saying. I mean, there's quite a few things. It boggles my mind how many hunters go to the range first off in preparing
Wait,
for.
I'm gonna slow this down. Okay, so you drew a tag and say it's
Mhm,
6, 8 months or however far. It's like I don't know when Utah's announced or whatever, but Nevada announced what last month, May 17th.
mhm, same with
Um,
you.
okay, so at what point do you start preparing? Start there.
Yeah, immediately, because especially with your firearm. So, do you have a gun that does everything? Especially when you're waiting that long for a tag, you want to make sure that it's not the rifle, it's going to be you, because you're going to get buck fever or whatever you get. So the biggest question is, because custom rifles, really good shooting rifles, they're going to take a couple months to get. And so that would be my first one is, hey, do I have a rifle I'm confident in, that I'm not going to have any issues with, that I know is going to shoot? And then ammunition, ammunition choices. Um, what am I going to be shooting? How far do I plan on shooting? Kind of taking some of that into effect. Do I want to shoot heavy bullets? Do I want to shoot monolithics? And then, optics, of course. Do I have a good scope that tracks? And most importantly, do I know how to dial it, and do I know how to read with it? And that's a big thing. So I think I would start out with my rifle and making sure I'm 100% confident in it. And then, going down the list from there. Usually what I do every year is I put together a list of everything that I need, kind of like what you're talking about. Do I have a good rangefinder? Um, and then the big thing is, do I have batteries? This is batteries and everything. Little things, the little things that you overlook in a hunt are the biggest things. Because if you're out there on the side of a mountain and you go to range something and your friggin' rangefinder's dead, you're shitting your pants, because you're like, dude, I didn't go through special forces, read with my reticle. Most people can't figure out how to do that. So it's one of those things that you're preparing not only the big things, but the little things to make you a more efficient hunter. But I don't necessarily always carry, uh, um, spotter, because they're freaking heavy unless you get the smaller ones. I've actually gone to a pair of 10 by 20s, and then I go to a pair of 18 power binos, because it doesn't, like, if you're not in a spotter a lot, you start messing with your head, you get headaches, things like that. And it's been easier for me to sit for hours, because I know where deer and elk, I try to get, spend the time before and try to figure out where they're going, how they're moving, and everything else. So I sit up and I just kind of watch and I learn. And a lot of people can't sit behind a spotting scope for that long, unless it's like, one of the STX Swaros or something with the double eyepieces. But I really love the 18 binos. They are heavy and they are a little bit bigger, but they fit in your backpack just fine. And then I just keep my chest drag with my 10 by 50s or whatever you want to carry for the smaller, because I'll glass up and then I try to zoom in. And a lot of times, if you have a good enough rifle optic, you can use the rifle optic as a spotter too. If you want to kind of zoom in and if you got a 25 power, like a Leupold 25 power, you can always put it on 25 power and zoom in and see something and get a little bit closer. But a lot of it's planning on how much weight you're going to have in your backpack, because if you have to pack out or any of that, you don't want all that extra shit in there. And then one of the most important things I tell everybody is get a good pair of boots. If you're going to be putting miles on the ground, clothing and boots is one of those things that you want to sit back and you want to try and figure out what's going to be comfortable. Forever I was like, dude, I can go to Walmart and I can just get the cheapest shit I can find and I'll be fine. But one figured out quality camo, because I'm on Team Cryptek, got that good shit. Kuyu makes good stuff. Sitka makes good stuff. You just got to know what to buy, but it is worth it 150% on quality clothing. I think it is. It's staying warm. And then also, if it's warmer, getting rid of the sweat and staying cooler too. Boots is a huge thing, but there's so many different boots out there. That one's a hard one because everybody's feet's different. It's kind of like telling somebody what scope to buy. Boots are different, but whether you go with
Yeah, on the boot thing, man, like so someone will give you a recommendation for boots, and I honestly, like, I can't do anything with it because all of our feet and the way we carry load and everything is totally different. So
Mhm,
I'm not a foot boot anything expert, but I've had some really expensive ones that I didn't like at all, and
mhm.
I've had just some more affordable ones that I really liked. I mean, you have to replace them more often, but like, damn, they worked really well. So
Well, that's like the Crispies. You talked about what do you start getting ready now? If you go get those high end boots, you have to break them in. They're not just like a boot that you can go throw on and stuff, because most of them are leather and you got to break. You can't be breaking that shit in or throwing it on your feet and trying to hunt in it, or your feet will be sorry because they suck. And then, of course, the other thing is socks. Investing in good socks. Don't go to Walmart and buy the cheap shit. Go buy a really good set of moisture wicking socks, and your feet will love you, because that's a big thing. When you're out there walking, you want to be paying more attention to the side hills than how bad your feet freaking hurt from carrying all the stuff you got.
no, 100%. Well, so speaking of Krispies, man, like I had a pair and they were doing pretty well. I don't know if my feet changed or flattened out or something, but now I can't walk in them. I don't know what changed. And it took about a year and a half, 2 years almost. I don't know. Something happened with me. It wasn't the boots, so I can't even wear them anymore. They're a little too small. But they
Mm.
were super rugged, and when I broke them in, they felt good. But man, something happened to me, and it's probably from rucking and army stuff. My feet probably flattened out or something to that effect. I don't know.
That ruined my feet. I mean, the military and them trying to figure out what inserts to put in your combat boots just completely screwed up my feet and my shins. I got really bad shins from that shit now, from
Yeah.
shitty freaking combat boots. And that's one of the things you got to try and figure it out. But going to these shows, the expos, spending the time at the Hunt Expo and some of these other expos, you can kind of sit down and talk to people and get ideas of what you should be wearing and why you should choose this boot over that boot, and what to be looking for. I've really liked the more crossover boots, like the tennis type, because they're super light. I had a pair of Rockies that I absolutely love. They're so freaking light and they're agile and they move with my feet, and they've been great. But again, to your point, they don't last quite as long
So
as what ultra high end ones.
my match shoe boots are the Vans ones, the Exos, and those are probably my favorites. Are they going to last very long? Probably not, but it's okay. I just wear them for matches. They're, I think, a 6 inch, 6 inch top, and man, they're super comfortable. They look cool. They're water resistant. They're suede, so I waterproofed them too, and they're pretty awesome. And I think I paid like $105 for them.
What are
So
your combat? What boots do you wear in uniform?
So I have two. This is going to sound weird to people, but I have two different pair of boots. So I have extensive pair of Nikes for my field and ruck boots, and then I have my Garrison boots because I work in an office most days. And those are the Oakley Light Assaults that weigh absolutely nothing. They're not durable at all. They're made for asphalt and carpet and stuff. So I've got two sets of boots. So daily I wear the Oakleys, and then for field stuff I wear the Nikes.
Have you tried the Rocky S2Vs?
I have. So those on carpet, if you wear them every day, so carpet's super rough on boots. It
Mm.
wears the soles out so fast. So like I would go through a pair about a year, and they're expensive. So
Yeah, I've got S2Vs, but I'm never walking on carpet with it. They're usually my range boot or something. I go. I'm not hiking in them, but they're
yeah,
great boots. But anyway, back to the point. Getting ready and getting your brain right. Your rifle. It boggles my mind. It's like coyote hunters. I see them all go shoot off the bench, throw their shit in the truck, and they're gone. It's like, what did that? Okay, your gun shoots great, but have you practiced what you're going to see in the field? Have you gone prone? Have you tried to get high and used your backpack as a rear support? Have you tried shooting off a tripod? Have you tried shooting off of something you can get? Because we know in a lot of situations in hunting, you have a very small window of actually making a shot. So are you practicing that at the range? It's like coyote hunters. A lot of them are sitting on their ass with a tripod or front sticks, but they don't shoot it. They just go to the range, shoot off the bench, and away they go. And they don't practice that. And then they wonder why they don't hit anything. Well, here's your sign. Take a freaking chair, a low chair to the range, use your front sticks and shoot groups and see. You'll get humbled very quick by practicing that kind of stuff.
I mean there is something to be said for having a squared away rifle and load. Like yes, the bench work is necessary, but like to your point, if you don't ever use the positions that you're going to find yourself, you're going to be caught trying to figure them out when you don't need to be figuring them out. And that's where match shooting and classes and everything really come into play. So if you value your time hunting coyotes or big game or whatever, you owe it to yourself to put yourself in as many awkward situations. And that's the beautiful thing about shooting matches is it's the cheapest training you're ever going to get, and they put you in a bunch of different stressors and positions and things, and it works out awesome. Some classes will do that, and training facilities will do that too, but their time is limited, and those cost exponentially more to go through. But at least you can get some baseline knowledge on how to do those things, which is good. It's value added, but your cheapest things, 30 to 50 bucks. You go shoot a match weekend, shoot 150 rounds or 80 to 150 rounds, and away you go. And you've learned some stuff, and you've missed some targets, you hit some stuff, and now you know. That's
Mhm.
so. If I have a newbie hunter that wants help and things, I bring him to rifle matches. I give him a loaner rifle. So we got before we even think about animals, you got to learn how to use a rifle, and that's what we do. And I run them through it, and I
Mhm.
know we beat the competition training thing up pretty good on this, but there's value in it. There's value in it, and it bleeds over many different things. Because a target's a target. So if you're not treating that animal with the utmost respect and taking the time to make sure that your rifle, ammo, gear, and everything's squared away, and you're squared away, like just slinging lead at something hoping it falls is not a good approach at
Right.
all.
Right. And, putting the stressors on you, that's a big thing. When you get excited when you're hunting, the stressors of, when you're in a match, you've got the timer. That's your stressor. How many rounds can I get off? What am I doing during that time? Am I holding the trigger to the rear and making sure I watch where that shot goes and then making a good correction? Or am I just flinging lead down range? And that's, people are like, oh, I don't need to shoot PRS. That's stupid. You got a big heavy gun and you don't need to do anything. But if you take it and break it down into those different things, like how am I reacting under pressure? How am I adjusting my shot? Can I see where I miss? That's a big thing that we've been seeing lately at Straight Jacket is a lot of people with ultralight rifles calling in. They're like, man, I can't shoot this rifle. And it's like, I get it. The consensus is I want the lightest thing to pack, right? I want something super light. But at the same time, super light is hard to manage recoil. It's hard to spot shots. It's hard to, keep under control when you're shooting. And a lot of guys are starting to see the light bulb like, holy shit, maybe I need a little bit heavier rifle to manage that. And I mean, I've taught myself how to manage an ultralight rifle, but I know it's going to kick. You put a 7 PRC in a 6-pound gun, you're going to get a little bit of recoil in it, And you've got to understand that. But again, that goes back to the range and understanding your rifle and taking it through the steps that you need to put it through the scenarios that you're going to find. But that's kind of a big thing that I've seen a lot of lately is the super light, trying to make it right and trying to control it.
So I hate shooting super light rifles or big Magnum cartridges. I hate it. It bothers me. The recoil sucks. And two, like you don't get enough time with it because it just beats the crap out of you. And three, I can't see what's going on downrange. You just can't. And that's the part that bugs me. I want to know where every shot lands. You shoot enough, you'll understand why that's important. Um, but that's, I mean, so my antelope rifle that I'm going to use is off a Lone Peak action. It's my match action and match scope. Same thing. So I know it all works. It's going to work. Same match trigger. I just add a pound to it. And then the Mark V scope that I've always used, same reticle and everything. And throw the 6.5 PRC barrel and bolt in it. And then I've already got a match load for it. And then that I've got a hunting load for it. It's all good to go. So I'm going to shoot, and I don't push things super fast. I'd rather that bullet get there accurately than get there in a blazing speed and miss or just hit something that I don't intend to hit. So, um, but I started this. So this same rifle configuration, basically I've been shooting it for 2 years. I've got ammo for it. I've got everything I need to know. I know that thing inside and out. I'm just going to zero it and away we go. And I train all the time. So, and I just got a new can. I have one of those KGM R30Ks that I'm going to use. It's got vented end cap and stuff, and the recoil on it's pretty nice. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to shoot suppressed. I'm going to shoot my antelope and my deer this year suppressed.
I shoot everything suppressed. I've probably shot the last 7 or 8 animals suppressed. Number one, because my hearing loves it and I don't have that sonic crack. Number two, a lot of times, and people don't think of this, and I've explained it to some people, is you get follow-up shots. You make a bad miss, the animal isn't like running off freaking out because of a loud bang. It's sitting there like, what the hell was that just flew by? A lot of times. And you get a good follow-up shot. So that's been a big one. My little boy, he shot his first elk this last year. He shot her. All the elk just stood there and looked around like, what the heck? I just thought I heard something, but it wasn't as loud. My 28 Nosler, we've shot a few elk and a few deer with it, and it makes it a lot more enjoyable to shoot because my freaking head doesn't feel like it's getting punched in the side. So, and granted, I think that's why a lot of people are going to 20-inch and 22-inch barrels so they can put this pressure on there and they're not waving a freaking lightsaber, and that's the big thing. But because taking a couple inches off but adding a can actually doesn't do a whole lot for velocity because your pressure's still coming back up in your can. But I mean, it'll still reduce, but not as bad as just taking it off. But
yeah, I had a can on my 300 PRC rifle that I used for my elk, but I got to tell you, the recoil with the can on it was just too much. With an 8-pound rifle, it was just, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, my 28 Nosler is 6.5 pounds, but I'm 6'3", 6'2", and 100 or 200, and at the time I was 250 pounds, so it didn't kick me as hard, but also a lot of times it's like when you get excited and you see an elk or a deer, you don't feel it anyway because you're so freaking excited and you're just jumping up and down, and then later you're like, that hurt, man, shit.
Well, I shot that rifle with a can on it, and then my follow-up, I wasn't even the same zip code, man. That rifle bounced everywhere. I had no idea where I even started. So like, nope, I put a brake on it, just wore it Ear Pro, and it was fine.
But that comes back to the preparation, preparing for the hunt and everything else, and understanding what you need to get. But some other things that definitely need to look at, to whoever, and then the clothing and all that kind of stuff. So there's definitely a list. I mean, maybe what we need to do is build a list for everybody and we can put it up on the website. Because I've definitely got to do better at updating the website. We were doing great. And all be perfect to get everything done. But that might be something we can do. Yeah. my audio is fine on my end. But it's there's some things that we need to hear from you guys that are listening. Like, what are some topics that you've been wondering and you don't necessarily believe everything you read on Facebook or the interwebs or whatever, and we can talk about. And if I don't, here's the thing: if I don't know it, I'll find somebody that does, and we'll bring them on, and we can have a podcast about it. Because I've been in this industry for a long ass time, and I don't know a quarter of it. And that's the thing you've got to understand as a hunter or as a shooter or as everything. You don't know everything. There's been quite a few customers that I've had lately that think they know everything, and you try to teach them, the right way, and try to teach them things and explain why certain things are like they are, and it's just freaking stressful.
So the
uh,
other part of that is everything evolves too. Everything keeps evolving. So I mean, things that we once did, I wish some of the older generation would understand. So I've been shooting for 50 years. I get that, man. But I mean, if you think of cars 50 years ago, a lot's changed. So yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Everything's progressed.
yeah, and that's the thing, is it's hard for a lot of people to change. Like, change is not great for everybody. But here's the thing, especially with hunting, I think, and I use this word a lot, ethical. If you're going to be an ethical hunter and you're going to go out there and do your thing and you give a shit about wildlife, you need to have the best stuff to make the right shot. You need to understand that a 6.5 Creed is probably not the best gun to be shooting at a elk at a mile. You've got to understand what energy is at target, what velocity is at target, how far you want to shoot. You've got to try and figure that out, and then try to get a cartridge or a rifle or whatever you're going to shoot based off of that. That's one of the big things I see, man. It's like, and if you understand bullets and how they work, the velocities on them, I mean, we can have a podcast about this, but if you understand how all of it works, there's a very small window for stuff to work and for stuff to expand and for things to work correctly. And I've seen too many wounded elk and too many wounded deer. And man, I lose sleep over that kind of stuff. I just feel sick, especially if I lose. I want that to last, and I want it to do it. So that's something that you need to think about. If you're going to be going into an area, the backwoods of Montana, and your closest shot's going to be 600 yards, you're going to want to find something that has enough energy at 600 yards. That's a big thing.
And something you can manage. So yeah,
Right, 100%. If it needs a little bit more weight and you need to get rid of, if it's an extra 2
100%.
pounds, get rid of your spotting scope or get
I
rid of.
I I hate the ultralight rifle craze because I don't get it. Like light, manageable precision rifles, I get it. But I just there's that push to go to the lightest possible thing, getting the fours and fives is just mind blowing to me. I don't get it because you don't want to shoot that. But
To
if
a
it's a sheep
point.
rifle,
Yeah,
I get
sheep rifle, that's one thing, because we build a few of those, and those guys are nuts as it is. And trying to pack into Uzbekistan or
it. Yeah,
into the Brooks Range or any of that, I'm like, man, I want
that's a
something.
very small percentage of people.
Yeah. So most of us, and I had that one of the very first podcasts that I did on this channel was with Scott Satterley. And he goes, dude, 9-pound rifle. Take that all day long. He goes, I'll take some shit out of my packer. I'm going to go to the gym a little bit more, but a 9-pound rifle is perfect for me. And you guys all need to understand that maybe it's a little bit different for everybody. If you're a smaller guy, you're going to want a little bit more weight. If you're a big guy and you can handle it, but going to the range and understanding what you can do. If you're
I
shooting,
Yeah,
here's the thing. The biggest thing that I tell people is if you're shooting an MOA or bigger with your hunting rifle, do better. You
yeah.
got to do better.
I love that 9 to 10 pound range. I love it. I
Mhm.
absolutely for hunting guns. I think that's a sweet spot, and I'll carry a 10 pound rifle. I don't have a problem with that.
Right.
I usually have a triple pull sky pod strapped to the side of my bag anyway. I don't have the bipod on the rifle
Hmm.
because I have a tripod and I have a bipod, and I'll make it work. And if all else fails, throw your pack down and go to work. Right. So um, and that's something I practice too. So and then shooting bags with me, an ultralight shooting bag. Like I've shot off rocks, I've killed animals off rocks, fence posts. I've
Hmm.
done a number with a lightweight shooting bag. Um, so yeah, but that 9 to 10 pounds, Scott's 100%. But in my experience, that's exactly what mine is sitting at right now. So
Mhm. And most of my rifles, my hunting rifles, are anywhere between 6 and 9 pounds, depending on which one's which, whether it's in a chassis or what barrel it's got or what action it's got. There's some different changes, and I choose those depending on what I'm going to hunt too. And I'm blessed and I'm lucky that way that I can choose. But a lot of people don't get that, so, and a lot of people look at it. Can we change the barrel? Can we change it to a carbon? Can we change it a little bit shorter? We can save a few pounds here and there with your existing setup. But it's definitely something you got to decide if it's something that you can give up, and can you give that up somewhere else, like I said. But yeah, and I mean, to your question, like truck stuff and all that, I mean, is it needed? Maybe,
No.
depending on where you're gonna hunt,
Well,
that's what you want. But
it's more fun.
yeah, for the basics, it's just comfort. Are you gonna be comfortable? You got
Well,
good
I,
clothes,
I
you
will
got
tell
good
you,
shoes, camping
my
stuff.
my
Yeah.
my elk hunt, we put 1,000 miles on dirt roads in 4 days. That's how much we traveled looking for elk in this two gigantic areas that we had in northern Nevada that were just massive. So
Mhm.
we moved
Did
and
you
went to
scout
those
first?
roads. Oh yeah,
They just
but
moved a
the
lot.
well, the problem was the weather hit so hard that the dynamic changed so rapidly. Those elk were pushed down out of the mountains and displaced, and it took us forever to. It took us 4 days and 1,000 miles because I know that's exactly how it. Because I left my trip meter going, and it was a lot. And then we had to go fill up about every day and make sure everything was topped off and everything. So, um, yeah, the truck suspension definitely paid dividends in that because it was good. It was
Hmm.
good.
That's crazy. Yeah, here in Utah, you have your pretty small units, so you don't have a whole lot of range between the two, and then now you're getting so many people to where if you don't want to see a lot of people and you want to see animals, you got to just throw a pack on your back and away you go. And then you've got to understand you got a lightweight backpack, you got a lightweight
Yeah.
sleeping bag, how's your bedroll? That opens up another whole nother freaking book of things. And are you going to use horses to get in there to carry the meat out? How are you going to do that? Picking a backpack, I mean, hell, it's a freaking it's a hole for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm dying. Holy shit.
You look
Anyway,
great.
yeah, I know I look like crap. I feel like crap. It's going away though. It's better than it was. I can actually talk now. I couldn't even talk for a few days. Um, but sorry. Been a long day. But I mean, I hope all of you get something from this. We're not just sitting here, BSing, but we've all learned something, and we want to share it with you listening. And we appreciate you guys listening. And of course, it helps us out a ton if you leave feedback. And again, people don't think that we actually listen and respond to messages, and we do. So if there's something you want us to cover or somebody you want us to talk to or anything like that, send us a message and we're happy to do it. And of course, go check out Firearms Radio Network, which is the network we're on. There's a lot of great shows on there. There's tons of them. There's First
Yeah.
Aid. There's Pistol. There's We Like Shooting, which is one of the main shows. There's tons and tons of shows. And I know there's a new hunting show on there, and they've asked me to come on. I just haven't had time yet. But there's cool shows on there. And I've been on a few of them too, John Patton and those guys, and great shows. So go check them out on the network. And again, let us know what you want to hear. Is there anything you want to finish off before we go?
No, I just hope everyone's getting out and enjoying some outdoor summer activities and shooting a whole bunch and learning a whole bunch. So, and to your point, you said earlier, man, I feel like every lesson I've learned has been the hard way.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten
Yeah.
lucky at all.
Yeah, but that's the thing is there's a lot of ways to learn. You just got to ask the right questions. That's the biggest thing, and ask the right people, and have them not call you a dumbass the whole time. But yeah, it is what it is. But I appreciate you all for listening. Until next time, hopefully you get a little burnt powder smell in the nose, and you get out there and you spend some time in the great outdoors. Thanks for listening, everybody.